Venezuela did not lose its air defense because it was weak. It lost because the system was never designed to fight a modern war. On paper, Venezuela spent over $1 billion on air defense, long-range missiles, radar networks, command vehicles, launchers, imported systems meant to protect an entire nation. But when pressure arrived, the system collapsed almost instantly, not because of a single strike, not because of sabotage, not because of a secret weapon. It failed because the system itself could not function as a system. Air defense is not missiles. It is not radar. It is not vehicles. Air defense is timing, coordination, data flow, decision speed, logistics, training, maintenance, doctrine, and Venezuela failed at every layer that actually matters. This video is not about politics. It is not about leaders. It is not about ideology. This is a system autopsy. We will break down how Venezuela built its air defense, why it looked powerful from the outside, and why, under real operational conditions, it became almost useless. Because modern air defense is not defeated by firepower. It is defeated by complexity. And Venezuela never solved that complexity. In modern warfare, air defense must see first, decide faster, and act as one organism. Venezuela's system never became an organism. It remained a collection of expensive parts, radars that could not share data, missiles that could not receive targeting updates, command centers that could not process information in real time. Every component existed, but the connections between them were fragile, slow, or broken. This is why billion-dollar systems fail, not in battle, but before battle even begins. And Venezuela is one of the clearest examples of that failure. To understand why, we must first understand what Venezuela actually bought and what it never truly built. Venezuela did not build its air defense system. It assembled it. That difference matters. Over the years, Venezuela purchased a mix of foreign air defense components, primarily from Russia, some from secondary suppliers, all acquired in separate contracts. Different years, different political moments, different strategic assumptions. On paper, the list looked impressive. Long-range surface-to-air missile systems, medium-range interceptors, early warning radars, mobile launch vehicles, command trucks, support equipment. Individually, many of these components were proven. Some had real battlefield records, some were technically capable. But air defense does not work as a shopping list. It works as an integrated architecture, and Venezuela never built that architecture. Each major system operated in its own technical ecosystem. Different software, different data formats, different command protocols. Radars could detect targets, but they could not reliably pass tracking data to missile batteries. Missile units waited for targeting information, but command centers processed data too slowly, or not at all. Decision-making became manual, radio-based, fragmented. This created fatal delays. In modern air defense, seconds decide outcomes. Venezuela's system lost minutes. Another problem was scale. Air defense requires density, overlapping coverage, layered redundancy. Venezuela's systems were spread thin, covering symbolic locations, government centers, military bases. Large gaps remained, blind zones, unprotected corridors, and air defense without coverage depth is theater, not defense. Then there was maintenance. Advanced systems demand constant calibration. Spare parts, software updates, trained technicians, sanctions disrupted supply chains, technical support vanished, systems degraded quietly, missiles age, radars drift, electronics fail. A system that looks intact on parade day may already be half blind. But the deepest flaw was doctrine. Venezuela never trained its air defense as a living system. Exercises were limited. Joint drills were rare. Realistic stress testing was almost non-existent. Operators learned procedures, but not decision-making under pressure. The system was never forced to operate at combat tempo. So when complexity increased, coordination collapsed. What Venezuela bought were weapons, What it never built was a system, and that distinction explains everything that followed. Every air defense system begins with detection. If detection fails, everything else becomes irrelevant. Venezuela's first collapse happened here. On paper, the country owned long-range surveillance radars, some capable of tracking aircraft hundreds of kilometers away. But range does not equal awareness. Most radars were positioned to protect political centers, capital zones, strategic facilities, not air corridors. This created predictable coverage patterns. Air defense does not fail suddenly. It fails quietly, through geometry. Mountains blocked low-altitude radar coverage. Coastal curvature limited detection angles. Terrain created shadows. Targets flying low did not disappear. They simply never appeared. Another problem was radar fusion. Modern systems combine data from multiple sensors: long-range radar, medium-range radar, fire control radar, passive sensors. Venezuela's sensors rarely spoke the same language. Data existed, but it was isolated. One radar detected something, another radar detected something else. Command centers received fragments. No unified air picture was formed. Operators saw dots, not threats. Then came tracking stability. Detection is not enough. Targets must be tracked continuously. Venezuela's systems struggled to maintain stable tracks. Signal dropouts, inconsistent refresh rates, manual confirmation loops. Every interruption forced a reset. Each reset consumed time. While operators verified, targets kept moving. This exposed another weakness: human dependency. Automation was limited. Decision chains were long. Authorization was centralized. Even when a target was detected, intercept decisions required confirmation, sometimes multiple layers of approval. Air defense cannot wait for permission. Seconds matter. Minutes kill systems. By the time a firing solution could be generated, targets had already crossed engagement zones. Missile batteries never received clean tracks, only partial data, late data, or no data at all. And without precise tracking, missiles do not launch. The failure was not interception. Interception never truly began. Venezuela lost the battle before the first missile could even think about leaving its rail. Air defense systems are often described as automated. In reality, they are not. They are human systems supported by machines. And this is where Venezuela's defense truly failed. Detection data did not flow directly to missile units. It passed through command centers, officers, supervisors, authorization layers. Every layer added delay. Decisions were centralized. Rules of engagement were rigid. Operators were trained to wait, not to act. In theory, this prevents mistakes. In practice, it kills reaction time. Modern air defense works only when authority is pushed forward, when operators are trusted to decide in seconds. Venezuela did the opposite. Fire units waited for confirmation. Command centers waited for clarity. Clarity never arrived in time. Communication relied heavily on voice, radio calls, manual reporting, human interpretation of radar screens. There was no real-time digital fusion, no automated threat prioritization, no rapid handoff between sensors and shooters. As complexity increased, speed collapsed. Another problem was fragmentation. Different units answered to different chains of command: Air Force, Army Air Defense, Strategic Command. Coordination was assumed. It was never tested. Exercises were scripted. Scenarios were predictable. No one trained for overload. When multiple contacts appeared, the system did not scale. Operators focused on one track. Others were ignored. Some were misclassified. Some were never processed at all. Stress revealed the truth. The system depended on calm conditions, perfect communication, ideal timing. War never provides those conditions. The result was paralysis. Missile crews waited with loaded systems. Radars continued to scan. Command centers filled with information, but no one could act decisively. The system did not collapse violently. It stalled. And in air defense, stalling is defeat. By the time decisions were made, the sky had already moved on. From the outside, Venezuela's failure looks like a budget problem. It was not. Money bought hardware, money bought missiles, money bought radar trucks and command vehicles. But money does not buy integration. Air defense systems are not improved by adding more equipment. They are improved by making existing equipment work together. Venezuela kept adding layers, new radars, new missile types, new command vehicles. Each addition increased complexity. Each upgrade required new training, new maintenance, new procedures. None of it reduced decision time. In fact, it made the system slower. Different suppliers meant different doctrines, different software, different assumptions about how war is fought. No single architecture unified them. Money also could not fix training. Advanced air defense demands constant high-tempo exercises, joint drills, stress testing, failure simulation. Those exercises were expensive, disruptive, politically risky, so they were limited. Crews learned procedures in isolation. They did not learn to operate under overload. They were never trained to fail safely. Maintenance suffered as well. Modern air defense is fragile. Sensors drift. Software degrades. Calibration slips. Without constant technical support, performance decays silently. A system can look intact while losing effectiveness every month. Sanctions accelerated this decay. Spare parts disappeared. Updates stopped. Expert support faded. Missiles remained on launchers. Radars remained on trucks. But reliability vanished. Money cannot replace doctrine. It cannot replace experience. It cannot replace institutional discipline. Air defense is not a product. It is a process. Venezuela invested in the visible parts, the parts that appear strong on parade. It never invested enough in the invisible ones, the ones that decide whether the system actually works. By the time pressure arrived, there was nothing money could do. The system had already failed quietly, long before it failed publicly. Venezuela did not lose its air defense in battle. It lost it in design. From the beginning, the system was built as a collection of parts, not as a single organism. Radars existed, missiles existed, command centers existed, but they never became one system. Air defense only works when sensing, deciding, and firing happen as a single action, without hesitation, without fragmentation, without delay. Venezuela never achieved that unity. Detection was incomplete. Tracking was unstable. Decisions were centralized and slow. Each failure alone was manageable. Together, they were fatal. The system looked strong because it was visible. Missiles on launchers, radars on trucks, vehicles in formation. But strength in air defense is invisible. It exists in data flow, in training under stress, in authority delegated forward, in decisions made faster than the target can move. Venezuela lacked all of these. When pressure arrived, the system did not break violently. It simply stopped responding. Operators waited. Command centers hesitated. Targets passed through. Nothing dramatic happened. Nothing needed to. A system that cannot react does not need to be destroyed. It neutralizes itself. This is the lesson. Air defense fails long before the first missile is fired. It fails when complexity outruns coordination, when humans become bottlenecks, when money replaces doctrine. Venezuela's air defense did not collapse in war. It collapsed in preparation. What remained was an illusion, a system that existed on paper, but not in time. And in modern warfare, time is the only thing that matters.